Hey guys, it's Ty and welcome back to my channel. So it has been a little while since I've just done a casual sit down video, but today I am trying to figure out which books I am going to be unhauling. So in about a month, I am going to be traveling back home to Indiana. And while I'm there, I'm planning on going to one of my favorite bookstores that we unfortunately do not have here in North Carolina, which is Half Price Books. And we do have some used bookstores here, but none of them, in my opinion, compared to Half Price Books. And I also really love reselling my books to Half Price Books because they don't give you in-store credit. You can just cash it out. 9 times out of 10, I'm just using that to buy new books. So that is my plan. So when I go back home in about a month, I am going to take a whole bunch of books to resell while I'm there. But what I wanted to focus on today was 6 book of the month picks that I am thinking of unhauling. But in order to determine whether or not I'm actually going to unhaul those, I'm going to read the first chapter or so of each book to figure out if I actually want to let it go. So before we get into that, I just want to go ahead and go over the 6 books that I'm thinking about. So the first one that we have here is Ink Blood Sister Scribe by Emma Torres. Someone actually recommended that I pick this up, and this has just been sitting around for a while. I have not had any desire to actually pick it up. I have not heard anyone talk about it, but this is I want to say adult fantasy. It's a debut novel about 2 estranged half-sisters tasked with guarding their family's library of magical books. They must work together to unravel a deadly secret at the heart of their collection, a tale of familial loyalty and betrayal in the pursuit of magic and power. I'm not sure if this is going to be something that I like, but we're going to give it a try. This next one that I have here, Sign Here by Claudia Lux. I've actually heard people have really enjoyed this. For the last few years that I've had this, every October I put this on my mental TBR and I say that I'm going to read it, and I never do. This is a adult, I don't really know if it's true horror or more on the fiction side, but it is a darkly humorous and utterly gripping debut novel about a guy who works in hell, literally, and is on the cusp of a big promotion if only he can get one more member of the wealthy Harrison family to sell their soul. Out of the stack of books that I have here, this one might be the most promising. Another one we have here is As Long as the Lemon Trees Grow by Zulfa Katu, I think is how you say that. But this is another adult fiction, and I have not seen a lot of people talk about this one either. This was another one that someone had recommended that I pick up, but I was hesitant to do that because it just did not sound like something that I think I will like. But a little blurb from this one, it just says, "This is my land, and just like the lemon trees that have been growing here for centuries, spilled blood won't stop us." I think, yeah, this takes place in Syria, so I'm really not sure about this. Now, this is one that I have been wanting to unhaul for a while. I remember when I picked this up, the month, I want to say it was October. That October or November, one of the months. I was really struggling to find something, and so this one caught my eye, but the longer I've had it on my shelves, the more I'm just I really don't think this is gonna be for me. I think this is more of a adult mystery. There's not a blurb, and I'm not about to read all that. This just has something to do with some siblings. One is a street performer and another is a con artist. They've been estranged since childhood, but they have received a mysterious inheritance. That's all I got. I don't know if people have been enjoying this one either. This one, when I picked this, I was really interested in this, and I have just never picked it up. The longer I have gone without picking it up, the more I don't want to pick it up. But it's The Attic Child by Lola J. And this says it's a riveting dual narrative of love, loss, and identity centering on 2 children separated by decades who, bound by a secret, find themselves locked away in the same attic years apart. So this takes place in the early 1900s and then in 1974. So I've actually heard good things about this one. So I'm curious to know if this will pique my interest with just one chapter. And then the last one that I have here is Family Lore by Elizabeth Acevedo. I have tried to read, I think, a young adult book by this author that I didn't really connect with because it's written in verse, I believe. And that's just really not my thing. And if I'm remembering correctly, this was like their first adult novel, another, I'm gonna say fiction. Yes, it is their first adult novel, and it says it's the story of one Dominican American family told through the voices of its women as they await a gathering that will forever change their lives. This one I've actually heard more mixed things. It seems like people who have attempted to read this, they have enjoyed her young adult work, but did not really enjoy this one. So I'm curious to see what I'm gonna think. So like I said, I'm just gonna read about a chapter, maybe two, depending on how long the chapters are in each of these books. Once I'm done with that chapter, I will come back and let you guys know whether or not I am going to unhaul it. I am gonna go ahead and start with Sign here just because I think this one is the most promising. So I will see you guys in a bit. So just like I thought, I'm probably gonna go ahead and keep this one. So I read chapter 1, but before you get to chapter 1, it says like before, and then you get a like a little blurb from the main character. I think his name is Peyote, but he gives like this description, like a funny description of what hell feels like because he works in hell. And then in part 1, it starts off with his POV, and they just got a new person in their department. They work on the 5th floor of hell. And so he's like talking to this girl. Her name is Calamity, but they call her Cow. And at the end of like the chapter, he's talking about how he's going after this family. I think they're called the Harrisons. Yeah, the Harrison family. I guess he's been signing deals with each of the generations. And so now he's about to try and get a deal signed with like someone from the 4th generation from that family. And when they sign these deals, they're like selling over their soul in exchange for something. I think that something is different with like each person. So I'm curious. To see where this is actually going to go, and the humor started off right away, so I'm intrigued. So the next one I'm going to see if I want to keep around is going to be Family Lore. I'm really not sure about this one, so I will be back. Okay, I'm back. So this is not what I thought this was going to be. This, I would say, also has a bit of maybe magical realism. So it starts off and we get like this family tree, a list of characters, and I kind of laughed because it gives like a really, really brief description of some of these people. Some of them are like seers. But there was one that said Ona, our main character that we're following, her name is Floor. So Ona is Floor's daughter, and she possesses a magical alpha vagina. I don't know what that means, but that made me giggle. So like I said, we're following our main character, Floor. And at the beginning, it says 6 weeks before the wake. And so you find out that when Floor was 5 years old, her family or her mother found out that she was able to predict people's death. And when she was 5, she predicted the death of her auntie. And her mother had thought that Floor was cursed. So now we skip through some time. Floor is 70 years old, and I guess she knows that she's about to die soon. She wants to make this documentary and have like a living wake and get her family together. Yeah, the first chapter was okay. I think there are footnotes. I think this is what that is, a footnote. When I flip through the book, there's quite a few of those. You guys have been here for a little bit. You know I do not like footnotes. I think that I've only read one book where it was kind of done well, but I think footnotes or whatever this is, it like takes you out of the story. And so yeah, I don't think the first chapter of this didn't grab me enough to make me think that I am going to probably enjoy this. So yeah, the first chapter was okay. I think this is one that I am going to go ahead and unhaul. I'm going to go ahead and do The Attic Child next. This one, I think I'm a little bit on the fence with as well because I really was interested in this when I picked this up a while ago. So I'm hoping that after the first chapter, it will keep me interested enough to want to keep it. Why I doubted myself with this one, and there was a reason why I was keeping this around. It took everything in me to just stop at the first chapter. So this starts off with part 1 in 1903, and we're following this 9-year-old black boy. I think his name is pronounced Dikembe, but he is the youngest of 5, and he stays at home with his mom and helps her with like the household chores while his older brothers go out with his father. He really wants to be like his older brothers and go on these adventures that he thinks that they're going on. And so one day he actually sneaks out the house and follows his brother and father. And while he's watching, like hidden behind a tree, he sees these 2 white men approach them, and one of them smacks one of his brothers. And so he doesn't really understand what's going on. The next day, his father goes out alone, and then they learn that his father has later been killed. That's where I stopped. I feel like I need to know more, but I am very, very intrigued. I like the writing. I liked how easily I was like sucked into the story. The first chapter was only like maybe like 15-ish pages, but it flew by. So I am definitely keeping this around, and I'm looking forward to this one. The next one I am gonna try is Thistlefoot. I'm not sure if I'm gonna like this one, but I'm gonna try. Unhaul this one. I didn't even make it past the prologue. The prologue was only a few pages, and in those pages it was talking about the Russian thistle, which is like a sort of weed, and then it talked about like tumbleweeds and how those like migrated over here. I don't know. I was so disinterested, and I kept like flipping through the pages to see when I would make it to chapter 1, and then chapter 1 is a little lengthy, and I don't even want to know. This is a no for me, so I'm just gonna unhaul it. We are gonna try Ink Blood Sister Scribe next. I hope that I enjoy this one since it was recommended to me from someone over on Instagram, so hopefully I will do better with this one than I did Thistlefoot. Unfortunately, this is also going to be another one that I unhauled. I didn't even make it through chapter 1 before I just started skimming, and I still didn't make it past chapter 1. So it kind of starts with the prologue, and this girl, Joanna, finds her dad dead. and next to his body, she finds a book with a note in it that tells her that she needs to be careful with this book and for it not to get close to her blood. Then we fast forward, or then we start like chapter 1, and we're following, I think her name was like Pearl. No, Pearl was the friend. Esther. I think Esther, who on the synopsis says that's Joanna's half-sister. Esther and I think her roommate Pearl are like getting ready for some party, and that's when I just started skimming. Nothing about this like really captured my interest. The writing was fine, but yeah, I don't think this is gonna be something that I would like or probably even finish, so I'm just gonna unhaul it. So the last book that we have here that I'm going to try and read a chapter of is As Long as the Lemon Trees Grow. Again, this is one I'm not really sure if this is going to be one that I like. I just picked it up based off of recommendations, so we shall see. Decided that I am going to keep this one as well. That first chapter really hooked me. So we're following 18-year-old Salama, I think is how we say her name. And she's living in Syria, and right now they are going through a war. But her plan for her life was to go to pharmacy school. That way she can leave Syria and travel the world. But instead, she's only been in school for a year. And because of this war, she has to help out at the hospital. And so basically it's like an all hands on deck. Anybody that they can get, including like custodians, whoever, they are using to try to help anyone that was hurt during the war. And so we're following her as she is helping at this hospital. But then we find out that their home is like one of the standing homes like in their town. Everything else has been like bombed or destroyed. And so she's staying with her sister-in-law who's pregnant. And my assumption is they are going to try to make it out of this war, but she has to protect her pregnant sister-in-law. I am very, very, very intrigued. I'm happy that someone had recommended this to me, and hopefully I can get to it soon. So this has been somewhat of a success. I had 6 books, 3 of them I plan to unhaul, 3 of them I'm gonna keep. So again, I'm keeping this one, I'm keeping The Attic Child, and then hopefully this year I can finally read Sign Here. So then the ones I will be unfortunately unhauling, we have Inkblood Sister Scribe, Thistlefoot, and then Family Lore. So I also have a ton of other books that I know for sure I'm unhauling. A lot of them I have already read, or some of them I just literally I have no interest in. So I'm gonna be getting rid of those. So I guess official unhaul video will be coming out within the next couple of weeks. But I'm actually glad that I decided to check these out first to see if I actually wanted to unhaul them. So like I said, I think this was a success. So that is actually all that I have for you guys, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.